start, the Minister is about to brief the media to update the public about the progress. We're just going to give it another 2 minutes just to allow for certain news houses to connect to their newsrooms. The Minister will be giving an update on the progress of rebuilding and recovering the passenger rail network infrastructure. We've just come from a train ride which was looking at the work that was done in returning the services in the Leralla. How many?
A minute. 30. No, 6.
No, ENCA is pulling our legs. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm going to call the Minister to come and give a brief update on the work that's happening in restoring passenger rail services in Gauteng. I'm now going to hand over to the Minister, who's going to address the media, and following the address, we will take some questions. Thank you, Minister, if you may.
Thanks. No, thank you very much. Thank you, Program Director, Acting Chairperson of the PRASA Board of Control, Ms. Nosiviwe Nogwe-Matkamo, Director General, DDG, Makaipi, Group CEO of PRASA, Mr. Hisham Imaram, members of the Department of Transport Senior Management, members of the Executive Management of PRASA, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, councillors that have joined us here, the Minister's Special Advisor, the Chief of Staff, and everyone who has joined us here. Today marks another milestone in PRASA's rebuilding program as we officially launch the Leralla to Germiston line on the eastern corridor of Gauteng in the Ekurhuleni Metro. This service, which first ran commercially on the 6th of July this year, now it carries 10,000 people a day. At the moment, the train stops at 6 stations, and the 6 stations are Leralla, Limindlela, Tembisa, Kempton Park, Rhodes-Field, and Germiston stations. PRASA is making significant progress in rebuilding the passenger rail infrastructure and refurbishing vandalized stations, as you have seen even here. Today, PRASA has recovered 18 corridors, with 7 corridors now operational in Gauteng, with the new electrical motor units, which we refer to as the Stimela Sabantu. PRASA's rebuilding program not only focuses on rebuilding the passenger rail infrastructure, but also modernizing the rail service with the rollout of the new trains known as the Stimela Sabantu, manufactured right here in this municipality at the Gibela manufacturing plant. An amount of 20.1 billion rand has been spent in recovering the rail infrastructure in Gauteng to date. In bringing back this particular service to the people of Ekurhuleni, PRASA has invested just under 6 million rand in rebuilding and rehabilitating the 6 stations, the train stops, the 6 stations and the train stops at the overhead electrical cables that power trains and substations that feed power to the network. The breakdown is as follows. 28 million rand was invested in refurbishing the stations. 292 million rand was spent on the overhead cables, and 276 million rand was spent on the substations. 44 million rand was spent on rehabilitating and restoring the Elandsfontein substations, which we are gathered at this morning. Work is in progress to extend the service from Germiston all the way to Johannesburg Park Station, with a total budget of 113 million rand allocated to this project. The following stations are due for major refurbishment under PRASA's National Station Improvement Program. The first one being Tembisa at 10.7 million rand, Kempton Park at 94.5 million rand, and Isando at 18.9 million rand. We are pleased to announce that trial runs are currently underway between Centurion and Gulffontein. This is an important line that will link Pretoria to Johannesburg. This essential network will ensure that we fully recover the corridor that connects Pretoria and Johannesburg and ensure that people are able to once again utilize this service. Our interventions to restore urban passenger rail services aim to ensure that the return of passenger rail to the city is sustainable. The plans are part of our wider strategy to improve passenger rail services across South Africa and make rail a safe, reliable, and affordable mode of transport, which indeed it is. Through PRASA's capital projects, we will ensure that PRASA continues to invest in local communities and boost local economies by creating job opportunities. We are pleased to announce that 191 jobs were created in this project, with 15 young women under the age of 35 employed, 3 women with disabilities, and 21 women over the age of 35. 4 SMMEs from local communities benefited from this project. It is also prudent that the informal economic benefits from our railway stations and the access they provide to the people, and it is important that this happens. The Germiston station is one of our biggest intermodal facilities in Gauteng, with taxis and buses feeding into the station, thus supporting a vibrant informal economy where informal traders can ply their trade and sell their wares to passengers and people from surrounding areas. The microeconomic activities at the Germiston station clearly demonstrate the role of intermodal facilities in providing transport solutions, convenience, accessibility, and economic opportunities. The increase of patronage numbers is vital to the sustainable livelihoods of informal traders and commuters at large who rely on this affordable mode of transport. Plans are in place to regain patronage numbers, including the rebuilding of critical stations for commuters to access the trains. PRASA's National Resignaling Program will ensure that the organization increases the frequency of trains while ensuring the safe passenger of our new modern trains and safety for our passengers. We're also pleased to announce that since the implementation of PRASA's Integrated Security Plan, we have seen a reduction of security-related incidences in the PRASA environment by 75%. Recently, PRASA's protection officers were declared peace officers under the Criminal Procedure Act, giving them more law enforcement powers similar to the police, including powers to arrest. We would like to congratulate all the 286 PRASA peace officers who are now trained in criminal law and law in general, amongst many other modules. Additionally to peace officer status, PRASA's protection officers are multi-skilled in armed response, platform marshalling, CCTV monitoring, and many more. Their deployment areas include on board the trains, staging yards, rail infrastructure, supported by the SAPS Railway Police and the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department. We can proudly say that on this line, PRASA protection officers have a combination of in-house and external security since the commencement of the rebuilding project. As a result, the service has not suffered any crime incidents against the rail assets. In reducing crimes of theft and vandalism of essential infrastructure, PRASA has also reduced the use of copper cables at substations such as the Leralla substation and installed anti-vandal clips on the tracks to make it difficult for criminals to strip tracks. This financial year, we have prioritized 16 corridors for recovery, and 7 of these are here in Gauteng. And these corridors here in Gauteng, they include this one, which is Leralla now to Johannesburg, Pretoria to Gulffontein, Hercules to Kude Sport, Germiston to Kwesine, Germiston to Johannesburg, New Canada to Residencia, Johannesburg to Randfontein. The recovery of these corridors will ensure that more people have access to an alternative mode of transport that is cheap and efficient. The number of recovered corridors and those earmarked for recovery tell a story of our solid commitment in returning passenger rail to its rightful place as the backbone of public transport and the economy. Latest Stats South Africa Land Transport Survey, released on the 21st of August 2023, reveals that the demand for passenger rail services, albeit from a low base, increased by 215% year on year. PRASA has seen a gradual increase of passenger trips and passenger numbers since the recovery of the passenger rail network. The survey and the number of people coming back to use the trains demonstrate the critical role that passenger rail plays in moving people and the potential for rail to become the backbone of the country's public transport system. This report also shows that the need to recover the rest of corridors has never been more urgent. We believe that we can build on these achievements and rebuild passenger confidence as we recover more corridors. Ladies and gentlemen, we are confident that we are well on track to achieve the target of recovering 16 corridors and deploy the new trains in more communities by the end of this financial year. Program Director, I thank you very much.